So hello world, my name is Amelia, and I know I haven't had a video for a few weeks. It's actually been a very crazy last few weeks. I know I feel like I'm a broken record sometimes when I sit there and I get in these videos and I start talking about, oh my gosh, I didn't do a video because of XYZ reasons, and I feel honestly horrible. Um, I have been continually having like this on and off like thing going on. I'm actually suspicious that I might. I'm as soon as possible. I'm trying to get in to see an endocrinologist because I'm actually quite suspicious that I'm have what's called Hashimoto's disease. It's an autoimmune system problem where your body basically attacks your thyroid. Um, and it's usually pretty hard to pick up. So it's just something I'm curious about because despite the fact that I can usually like have my highs most of my life, I'm just super either depressed or despite being on antidepressants, I can just feel depressed. I can feel tired. Like just right now, like today's Sunday, I got back from church. I was actually really surprised I was able to apply myself as well as I was. And then I get home and I just crashed. I also did not sleep last night for reasons. So, anyways, I took a nap. That's why I probably don't like look my best, even though honestly I kind of feel like I look better than usual. That's probably because I got dressed up for church. Anyways, I'm not going to waste any more time on that. But like I said, these last few weeks have been interesting. Um, I'm pretty sure I mentioned that. Wow, I can't even remember my last video I uploaded. I know the last one I did, I think, was a train subject video, which is kind of what I want to talk about again today. But yes, I did pass my CNA exam, state exam. That was 2.5 weeks ago now. Um, and I had been working on finding a new job, and praise God, I actually did get one. Just by chance, I met someone that my roommate has been seeing, and she put me in connection with a connection she had at St. Luke's Health System, which is a chain of hospitals around here in Kansas City. And long story short, I just on Friday evening got the call of a job offer as a float CNA. So sounds really great. I'm happy for it. College has been interesting. The semester's over. I passed my English 101 with like a 96% or something like that. Um, so that's good. I got a full 12-hour semester coming this fall, which is not going to be fun. I got to do psychology 243, English 102, and math 120. Um, so yeah, and math is my least favorite subject. But anyways, I'm also going to be doing the night shift at the hospital, so wow. Yeah, when this, at least it's only 3 days a week. It's 12-hour shifts, 3 days a week that I got to do at the hospital, so, and it pays really, really good. Like, I can make as much as almost like $20 an hour doing this. I'm really excited. So anyways, I also just recently talked to my I talked to my college, and finally got moving with them, making the whole declaration that I am a pre-med student, and they changed my academic advisor over to this person who she's supposed to be specialized, which I mean she does at least. I don't know what her qualifications are. Anyways, she's supposed to be specialized in advising pre-med students. And I actually got to talk to her, and I was so super impressed and so excited to talk to her. Like, everything I was telling her about my goals with med school, she was right on board with. And I was even telling her how, like, for example, I personally feel like I think the reason a lot of people are afraid of med school, they make it sound like it's really hard and difficult, is because they overcomplicate it. And I told her that, and I gave her some examples, and I told her what I meant, and then she's just like, you know what? I've been feeling the same way. I don't think it's as hard as people make it sound. It can't, in my opinion, yeah, it's gonna hard because you're going after a doctorate, obviously. But I tell people, I don't think it's really necessarily as hard as getting, going after an engineering degree or something like that. You're going after a top-notch area industry. But I think people just overcomplicate it because the kind of people they're looking for. And I was really excited to find out that one of the med schools I'm looking at here in Kansas City, which is also one of the top 5 oldest ones in America, it's KCU. They just recently dropped their minimum requirement for GPA and MCAT score. So, long story short, I was really excited to hear they did that just in the last year, which means that again, it was like what I was telling her. I don't think med schools are as concerned with the academia of the education as they are concerned with they want unique people. They want people that are excited to help people. I mean, like, having the things they ask for are just like, they sound hard, but they're awesome. Like, 5 letters of recommendation from other doctors and stuff like that. They want to see that you've been involved in like they ideally want to see letters from 3 volunteer organizations. They want to see stuff that shows that you've done scientific research projects. They want to see someone who has a high level of literacy, who loves helping. Anyways, I have already wasted a lot of time talking about this, but it does make me really, really excited to talk about. Anyways, moving on. So, just something I want to talk really quick about. I think I've kind of tried to talk about this subject a little bit in the past. Unfortunately, I think I was maybe gotten too focused on one little area that involves it, and then I was kind of missing the bigger picture. I actually have a lot of videos I've recorded in the past that don't actually make its way up on my channel, either because I spent like 30 minutes and then I'm like, that was just way too long ranting about something that that I could have said within 5 minutes if like I wrote it out or something like that. I did one like that on dating. I did one on that about my church. I did one like that about my family. And then right now I kind of took a step back. I was like, I've done those 3 videos and not a single one of them have really made it up on my channel. I'm like, what is it that I'm trying to say? And really what it came down to is I realized loneliness. And I've been running into this a lot lately, as there are other trans women who come to me and tell me about, the fact that in a lot of ways, a lot of them tell me that they look up to me and they see me as an inspiration to who they want to be. And that gets into that whole med school thing, the kind of person that med schools are looking for. But anyways, they tell me how they look up to me. And in a lot of ways, I find that as a shock. I honestly do not expect that kind of response from some people. But when you are transgender, loneliness is it's like how they talk about like the suicide rates of transgender people. We are probably one of the most outcast groups of people out there that are ignored, who are shut out, who are treated like second-rate citizens. I mean, and when you get into areas where, there's toxic masculinity, in a lot of ways, we get almost put under women. You kind of like, oh, here's men, here's women, and then they're like, oh, here's the trans women. Now, of course, this is a little different for trans men, but I'm coming from it with my perspective. They usually put us under women. It's like, oh, okay, you want to be a woman? Okay, well, I'll put you down underneath. And then they kind of continue to put you down and be like, oh, you're even worse than a cis woman. I I have to say that loneliness, though, is it's everywhere. It runs very common in the trans community. I had one transgender individual reach out to me who lives actually not very in my state. And as I was talking to her about this stuff, she was just telling me how she's like, yeah, she's like, I don't have family. She came here. She's actually from. She's not a U.S. citizen. She's from here from another country. And she's like, I don't have family. I don't have friends. By the way, it's supposed to be storming, so if you see my lights flickering, that's probably why. It's not like super pretty out there. Oh shoot, my face is itching. So anyways, she was just saying how she doesn't really have friends or family. She's a professor at a college, and I found it very interesting. And there's a lot of trans people like that. I talk to them, and they're very cut off from the world. And I mean, if you're someone out there who's trans and you have that family and you have that support structure, that's amazing. And kudos to you for having that. But even myself, loneliness it's huge. It's a pandemic for trans people. It's a common factor. How people shut us out, push us out of their lives. And how that links to the subjects I brought up earlier. Dating. You can feel like, for example, as there's a bug flying in my face. Why does this seem to happen every time I do one of these videos? Okay. This is definitely one of my off the rails videos. Dating, for example, it's why to me, like, I feel so much like I have the need for wanting to feel normal in those dating situations. I don't want to admit to being transgender because then typically I get treated differently. But I'm still a person. I am a woman. To come into a dating situation and to say that, unless you know the person's supportive, it really can make you feel like an outcast, which just adds to that whole loneliness factor. And you could even, the thing is, I've been very blessed by having some women, cis women in my life who have shared the general struggles that a lot of women have, and it really, really has helped me come to frame some of my own emotions. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why it's very important also for trans women to have support structures even with cis women, because and I've said this before, this is kind of getting a little off subject, when I've talked to trans women who get really dysphoric over certain things about their face, their features, their body, and I have to sit there and go, I have to be the person who says, I need you to reframe this and consider, is this something that you're getting upset about because you're trans, because it's something you feel, you feel that it's gender dysphoria related, or is it just a typical thing that any woman would feel? For example, that was my computer. For example, I have high widow peaks right here. Somebody might sit there and say, oh, you feel shortcoming of that because you're transgender. Yes, that's true. It has a lot of connection to do that. However, there are a lot of cis women who also have this problem. It's not just a trans woman problem. So this is the kind of thing that I have to almost chuck up as being more of a self-confidence problem. And yes, I still believe that it would be nice to have more access to things to fix that, but that's beside the point. Anyways, get off subject here. I even talked to one woman recently who, her husband, committed suicide about a year ago, and, I was talking to her and hearing her story, and, and that's that's something I can relate with, because I feel, and again, I'm gonna probably do a video in the future. I still don't really feel like it's the right time for it. It's been too soon. I would like to do a video talking about my past marriage. But the one thing I can say is that past relationship, it feels like my spouse. Because even though my ex is still alive, I feel like she walks around, and I am being really honest right now. She's still walking around, but I feel like she is no longer there. I literally compare it to like the body snatchers. You know, somebody has snatched her body, and she's not actually the person I used to know. Anyways, so I was talking to her, and she just, she's like desperate for dating, and I mean, I was like, that feels really common for me. I'm desperate for dating. I've been to a lot of dates, and there's so many asshole men out there who just don't have their attitude straight and are just not, they're not great men. They're horrible men. There's a lot of cis women that deal with that too. The point is, my family, even though my parents tell me they still love me and I'm still a part of the family, I'm not actually treated as a member of the family. In my family, I do not receive the same level of treatment that my siblings receive. The fact that of the ways I'm treated, it's like one of those things where you can sit there and say, oh, you love me and you love me, but your hearts are not in the right place. Because honestly, if your hearts were in the right place, then I would know that you're not doing things like misgendering me in private, behind curtains, when I'm not there. The fact that I know that those things happen, you could sit there and say that you're not going to name and gender me all you want, which, by the way, I don't know if I've mentioned that's how my parents handle this situation. But ultimately, as long as you're still doing it in private, which you can't hide, it's pretty obvious. I can pick up on the clues to know that it's happening. It means your hearts are not in the right place, and it feels just as damning as if a parent was doing it. My parents were misgendering me. And then in the subject of church, I've even been thinking about this lately. And by the way, don't misunderstand me. I love my church. There was a hair on my hand. I love my church. I'll try to finish with this. I have a lot of people at my church who love me, support me. There has been several cis women who have seen me at my church who encourage me, and that's actually kind of a funny thing I've noticed. How there's like some guys I used to know. I'm not even exactly sure how to take it. There's some guys I used to know very well prior to me transitioning, and now they're actually like distant from me, and in kind of a way I'm like, are they, I can't tell, are they distant from me because they don't support me, or are they distant from me because they do actually see me as a woman now and they feel it wouldn't be right and most of them are married, so I'm like, so they feel that it wouldn't be right of them to have that friendship with another woman when they're married, that kind of thing. Some guys can get, especially in the religious circles, can get like that. But anyways, like even just today I was at church and there's this one lady I've seen her around church. I can't quite recall when or how I've talked to her, and she just comes up to me and she just gives me a hug. And the other thing is that's interesting, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, my church has a big thing about side hugs and front hugs. Usually you're same gender, you give a front hug. If it's an opposite gender, you side hug. That's just kind of how my church has always done it. And, you know, of course, a lot of guys don't like to front hug anyways. But anyways, these women come up to me and give me full-on front hugs. And those are the times when I definitely feel, because it's a very cultural thing in my church, it's those times that you really feel accepted and you feel like one of them. But I love that. But anyways, there's plenty of people who don't socialize with me at my church. I can get done with service. My church is very mixed when it comes to me. And no, I will not change churches just because of that reason. There's very particular reasons I go to my church, and I'm not going to get into them right now. Is my hair sticking up over here? I love my church. I love it because of everything else outside of this whole mixed populace when it comes to me. I'm not discriminated against. The pastors welcome me there. There's just some people that are just kind of weird about it. Anyways, it's still lonely at my church. And I don't know, and that might be a personal thing because a lot of these people I probably didn't talk to anyways. But there's a lot of people that they're almost afraid to come up to me. There's that bug back. They're afraid to come up to me. They're afraid to say hi. And I think it's a mix of things. Some of them don't want to do it because they don't support me. And some of them don't do it because they just simply are afraid of themselves being outcast because they're supporting someone. It's pure pressure. I'm sure I have a whole lot more allies at my church than I imagine, and I've even been told that by other women. But it's still very hard to go into my church, especially being single, and I sit alone. I mean, I have been more recently sitting with my parents, at least in the same row as my family, but it's still one of those situations where I don't feel one of my family. I only sit there because it's better than being completely alone. But service gets over, and there's several people standing around me, greeting, saying hi. But not very often, maybe 1 in 4 services, do I get somebody who comes up to me actually after service and says hi. And now I've been trying to reach out more and go straight up to other people, but even I'm a little nervous just because I don't know how people respond. I don't know. That was right in my face. I don't know where my support groups are. So anyways, loneliness is hard for a transgender individual, and my heart goes out to anyone out there. I mean, you don't have to be trans for loneliness to affect you. It's a big problem. We are living in a country where we are connected by high-speed internet and things are moving so fast. But yet, we're probably very much disconnected from the people around us. And when you come out as trans and you get ostracized and pushed away, like apparently that was even a subject that kind of got brought up with one of the pastors at my church through somebody, and the pastor said, of course they were unfortunate to hear that, but they were just like, a lot of it comes down to they just don't know how to respond to me. And I try to tell people all the time, you're not going to offend me. If you make an approach to come to me and show your support, I can appreciate that. And I've had a couple women who I just talked to someone the other day, and I'm telling them about me and my beliefs and stuff like that, and she thanked me, and I think it really helped frame some things and perspectives. But anyways, I'm not going to get into that subject, but loneliness is a hard thing. Anyways, I'm going to end this video. I've probably done like 15 minutes on this subject alone, and then it was like 7 minutes on just those updates. I start my new job on August 30th, and then I got the school semester starting on August 24th. So honestly, I'm going to be so busy after later this month, and I don't want to screw up and forget to make my videos to, you know. Anyways, I will see you guys all in the next video. Do not forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on my social media. It's really comments are my favorite thing, even though I don't get them very often. There's a lot coming down the pipeline for me. I think just recently I was thinking about that whole, I'm actually, for once in my life, things are turning around for me. I got some great stuff coming around the corner, and I'm believing for brighter tomorrows. So anyways, talk to you all later. Bye now.